the Law of One Breakdown channel. Have you ever wondered what the raw material actually says about Jesus, free will, sexuality, and even hair? Each week we go straight to the original sessions and explore one topic through the pure wisdom of the Law of One. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy this subject. Let's begin. Hello. In this video or podcast, however you end up listening or watching it, I am going to be talking about hair and what the raw folks say about hair. It's kind of interesting, and I'll put a little bit of historical information at the end of this as well. So we'll just start it right off. In session 69.0, Ra says, I greet you in the love and light of the one infinite creator. Before we proceed, may we make a small request for future workings. At this particular working, there is some slight interference with the contact due to the hair of the instrument, and the instrument is Carla. We may suggest the combing of this antenna-like material into a more orderly configuration prior to the working. Then Dawn asked in session 75.33, you mentioned in an earlier session that the hair was an antenna. Could you expand on that statement as to how that works? And Ra answers by saying it is difficult to do so due to the metaphysical nature of this antenna effect. Your physics are concerned with measurements in your physical complex of experience. The metaphysical nature of the contact of those in time-space is such that the hair, as it has significant length, becomes as a type of electrical battery, which stays charged and tuned, and is then able to aid contact even when there are small anomalies. And Dawn asks in session 75.34, well, is there an optimum length of hair for this aid? And Ross states, there is no outer limit on the length, but the, shall we say, inner limit is approximately 4 to 4.5 inches, depending upon the strength of the contact and the nature of the instrument. So basically, you can grow your hair out as long as you want, but the shortest it should be, if you want to use it in this regard, longer than about 4.5 inches. And in session 49.5, Ra states, for all material is constructed by means of the dynamic tension of the magnetic field. The lines of force in both cases, planets and our bodies, may be seen to be much like the interweaving spirals of the braided hair. And here's a few historical facts. There was a society called the Vril Society, and a lady named Maria Orsic said she could channel, and it wasn't just her, there was a few ladies, and that their hair was aiding. And they ended up actually getting the attention of the Nazi Party and brought through plans for the Nazis and Hitler to make a UFO. So that was kind of interesting when I came across that. And I also came across a little bit of information about Genghis Khan. And I saw this in a variety of different sources. And it says, when Genghis Khan conquered China, he considered the Chinese to be very wise, intelligent people who would not allow themselves to be subjugated. He therefore required all women, and I also read in other sources where it said both men and women, in the country to cut their hair and wear bangs. And if you think about it, your bangs are where your third eye chakra is. Anyway, so he had them cut their hair because he knew this would serve to keep them timid and more easily controlled. So that was kind of interesting as well. And I found a few sources relating to Kirlian photography. And that's the kind of photography that measures the electric field of an object. And I couldn't find pictures of this, but I read in a few sources that they took pictures of people that had real long hair, and the electric field around them was quite significantly bigger than when they took the picture after they had the people cut their hair short. And one last thing
It is said that when you allow your hair to grow to its full length and coil it on the crown of your head, the sun energy or pranic life force is drawn down the spine. And that made me think a little bit about an inductor coil. And an inductor is a coil that stores energy in a magnetic field when electric current flows through it. So it all kind of makes sense. And it's interesting that throughout history, because I also read other things about Native Americans and how they had great respect for their long hair, and they had different ceremonies and practices using hair. But it's interesting that it shows up in the Law of One as well. It makes me think that all these other sources, they're onto something, because I believe Ra is telling the truth in all things in these books. And so it's interesting. All right. I hope you enjoyed this, and take care.